Mike Malott, straight up badass. Mike Malott, let me give you a fun fact. Mike Malott has a brother who's a professional hockey player. As a matter of fact, he got in a big fight the other night. It's all over sports news. All right, so Mike Malott gets full credit. Mike Malott won. Co-main event, big deal, promotion getting behind him. I'm actually here to talk to you about Kevin Holland. So, Kevin Holland gets kicked in the nuts. Knee in the nuts. He gets hit. So, and it's bad. I think we can all unanimously agree Kevin Holland is not the guy to play the I've been fouled card. Give me sympathy, I'm hurt. I think we can all agree on that. Not to mention, he didn't. He did not play it. He went and played it like Kevin Holland would play it, which was like a gangster, and got up and went on anyway. That's what I want to talk to you about. 2008. There was something, it was the second year for it. Something called a UFC Fighter Summit. Dana and Lorenzo bring everybody to Las Vegas. Everybody. The roster now is 776 guys. 767 athletes. It was not back then, but it was still big. I mean, there's 500 of us with interpreters and managers for certain guys that you've got to bring in so they can understand the information being presented. They put us at this resort. I mean, this thing must have cost the UFC $1 million. They treated us like kings, and they fed you every possible meal. And when you got there, they gave you gift bags. But there was information, and Dana wanted to make sure that the guys had it. Right? The UFC had been around for 5 or 6 years, but things were picking up. And Dana wanted to make sure the guys, I mean, there was classes. We go to this thing, it's called the Fighter Summit. But it was classes. It was like seminars where you go in and this marketing person would come and talk to you about marketing. But then you'd have financial experts that would come in to talk to you about retirement and explain what an independent contractor is. Explain the upsides to that, but also explain the responsibilities that come with that in terms of being disciplined to have your own medical, to have a retirement plan, to understand what the government gets. It was just very helpful. I remember going to it and thinking, this is going to be annoying. I remember thinking that, but it was very helpful. And there was only, of this entire week, there was only one of these courses that was ran by Dana and Lorenzo. Everything else, they brought in top experts, flew them in. They were giving us information. But there was one that was actually Dana and Lorenzo. And they stood in front of the group, and there was a phenomenon going around the sport. And the phenomenon, we used to have a website. You guys are hardcores that go back, you'll be well familiar with it, but it's called the Underground Forum. And the Underground Forum ran MMA. A fighter could go on the Underground Forum and make a call out, and that call out could get you a UFC contract and placed on a main card. Everybody was on the Underground Forum. Every fighter, every aspiring fighter, every promoter, the media, Joe Silva, commissioners. This is where we all went and met. This was known as the Dark Ages. This is before we were on, started with Fox, now ESPN, covered by the Levitards and the Jim Romes of the world. Before that, we had a website, one, and it ran the industry. You might find that interesting. So there was a phenomenon, and it went around the Underground Forum, that if a fighter was fouled, that they had to continue, that there was a pressure, an undue outside pressure put on that fighter. Because the overwhelming theory that the show must go on. So all of this means that if you're fouled and you don't get up and continue, it's going to make Dana mad. That's what it all boils down to. And Dana stood in front of this group. It was the only class. He spent millions of dollars to put this on, right? I mean, everything he's going to say is from his heart. He brought us here to give us information. He told the whole group, hey, by the way, there's this thing going around that if you're fouled, I expect you to get up and go on. He said, I don't know where that came from. I've never said that. And I want you guys to be very clear. I don't feel that way. But then he went a step further. And so this was in 2008. So I don't argue that this stat is true today, but it was true in 2008. And Dana said, as a matter of fact, we have only had, in the history of the UFC, we've only had one fighter that was fouled. A foul not being an accident, a foul not being a quick warning from the referee, a foul where the referee steps in, whoa, time, on me, 5 minutes, possible even point deduction. Dana said we've only had one time in UFC history where the fouled fighter got up and won. And he was saying, if you are hurt, you do not have to go on. If the other person has broken the rule, then you want to exercise the disqualification clause, you go right ahead. If you want to exercise the no contest clause, you go right ahead. There is no truth that you're going to have heat with me. And Kevin Holland wasn't there. Kevin Holland wasn't at that meeting. He wasn't there in 2008. In fact, Kevin Holland got his contract, I believe, in 2019. My point being, should have Kevin Holland got up? Should have Kevin Holland, who has demonstrated a toughness and a willingness? I would put Kevin Holland in the top 3, by the way. I would put him right next to Cowboy Cerrone. I would say Cowboy leads that charge. But as far as a willingness, anyone, anytime, actually does it, any weight class, I don't care. I would put Kevin Holland as a top 3 ever. And I think that you guys give him that same credit. Should have he continued? Is that what cost him the fight? And is that what you saw? I mean, to me, he looked different after that point. To me, he was in pain physically, but he was mentally distracted due to the pain. My father-in-law is a great baseball player, raised all of his grandsons to be great baseball players. But he will tell you, every batter in the world, from the 9-year-olds up to the Yankees, their biggest concern, their biggest problem is not to hit that ball. The thing that they're thinking, they don't want to get hit by the ball. They've got to get over the feeling of being hit by the ball. Once they can get over the fear of being hit by the ball, they can hit that ball. And when Kevin Holland was hitting the nuts, I will just tell you, I could hear my father-in-law telling me about what the baseball players go through, and I felt like that's what Kevin was like, where he's going, I can't get hit in the nuts again. I couldn't count on my cup the first time. I can't count on my cup now. Let me deal with this guy. Let me try to hit this guy. Let me try to fight this guy. Let me try to keep my conditioning up, and let me understand the 10-9 must system. And by the way, I don't want to get hit in the nuts. I did not feel like that was the same Kevin Holland, and I didn't feel that was Kevin Holland's fault. That's my takeaway. And Mike is a complete stud, and he made that walk, and he handled his business. But should Kevin Holland have continued? I really do want to know what you think. That there are some blows that a person doesn't have to come back from, right? Imagine there's a headbutt, a blatant headbutt, boom, and it opens a cut. Now all of a sudden you can't see out of your eye. You got blood coming in your eye. Now you got to fight the guy with one eye because of a technique that should not have happened. That's not the same thing here, but it's on the same path. It's an example that I think you would understand. So when you watch the fight, do you think Kevin Holland should have continued after he was fouled?